It's time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
I think they're definitely talented. They're good enough to beat us, and they're a good team. And so that's something growing up in South Carolina I've always looked forward to. And they've had our numbers when I was in high school, so I'll get all that crap from all my South Carolina fans. So just try to keep it going and get the win.
When the chips got down, we had some guys that didn't compete, and it wasn't our whole team. We had a bunch of guys that competed their butts off. We got outcoached and outplayed, and it starts with me. And you know that to me was the message from me to our football team. We got out competed in the game, and that can't happen.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. It's the greatest week of the year, no matter where you are in the United States. Nothing tops the Palmetto Bowl, USC Clemson, Clemson USC, regardless of how you fill your cup. It is a great week. It is a great football game, and we're looking forward to taking you right up to it here on Sports Talk. We begin the week on the road. We're at the Casual Pint in Lexington, just off Highway 378. It's the next and last stop on our Palmetto Pigskin Live Tour. We're here with our good friends from The Point, Kevin Cohen, The Point Radio in Columbia. He did his show here in advance of us for a couple of hours. Now we have taken the baton, and we'll go with it for the next 2 hours. Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic,
sir,
here at the Casual Pint, and the Professor Tom Hayes, who he doesn't particularly care about drinking alcoholic beverage. We left him behind with a glass of milk. He's back at our studios in downtown Columbia.
I don't know if I've ever seen you with an alcoholic beverage in the 4 months that we've been
You don't want to see him with
been
one.
looking at the right time.
He holds it in his hand and he gets inebriated.
I took a stiff drink with every interception that my quarterback threw yesterday, okay? Yeah, that was ugly. I'm talking about the Packers, not the guy for the –
You're not supposed to lose at home for the Ravens.
The Ravens' defense was great yesterday. All right, let's get our focus here. We're on the Gamecocks and the Tigers. 800-956-7266. This is the time to give us your picks, to break it down, give us your assessment. We'll get some real coaching logic from Zach Willis in our second hour. So here in the opening hour, your time to join in and give us your thoughts on the game, how you think it's going to play out. Clemson opening up, guys, as a 15.5-point favorite. As I sit here right now, my prediction is 21-14 Clemson. So I would take those points and feel very comfortable thinking that 15.5 points will be plenty for South Carolina from a gambling standpoint.
I checked it right before we got on the air. It's been bet down to 14 now.
Mm-hmm.
One of my Vegas insiders say it could be as low as 13 by the time the week is out. That's at least where his power rankings have it lie. I think this is a two-score ball game, but I think it's obviously, from a Clemson perspective, it's an opportunity to get that start of the high wire of emotions that are going to be not only this week, but next week in the ECC Championship and possibly beyond in a potential college football playoff. And for South Carolina, the thing that you have to at least hang your hat on if you're a Gamecock fan is you can throw every bit of emotion and every bit of energy that you have into this football game this week. You don't necessarily have to worry about a game that's the next week. You don't have to worry about a bowl until the end of the month. So this is kind of an all-hands-on-deck situation, and you have the motivation of last year's blowout to basically come out there and show that you're better than the team that lost 56-7 to this group last year.
From a Clemson standpoint, if you look at it, it depends on what games you watched. If you watched them play Louisville or NC State on the road, you'd bet Clemson. But if you watched them play against Syracuse and Boston College at home when it was 7-7 in the fourth quarter, you go,
Well, I think that you have to consider that this South Carolina team is not Clemson's whipping boy like last year's South Carolina team was. That team went into that game, and we all knew it. They had no chance, and it was played out that way. And Will Muschamp made the comment Saturday that some guys just didn't compete. Well, and this South Carolina team will compete. This South Carolina team has players who can make plays. They have a defense that can stop Clemson, can force punts. They have special teams in the return game that can do some things. They were a team playing with one arm behind his back last year, and it showed against a great Clemson team that played at the top of its game. If Clemson plays its best and South Carolina plays its best, I think we're going to have a close ball game because I think there are things that South Carolina can do. They're not going to score a lot of points against Clemson. That's why I'm going 21-14. They're not going to score a lot of points, but I think their defense is good enough to keep the game within reach from a South Carolina perspective. I don't think Clemson's going to be able to just run through them and put them away like they did last year.
Well, it's weird. The game that I look to that probably makes you think about the same is that Georgia contest, because with South Carolina, they had an initial surge of emotion when it came to that particular football game, especially when you think about the fact that they had that onside kick early. They were able to kind of get a little bit of emotion early, but they couldn't necessarily take advantage fully because of the fact that they had a missed field goal in that opportunity. But you know there's going to be an initial rush of emotion for South Carolina because of the home crowd. If Clemson can sustain that, I think they'll be fine. But the longer you let South Carolina hang around, the more the Gamecocks can get the belief. And again, it's not like they are an insurmountable underdog. But the one thing that you do have to remember is that Clemson is the better football team here, at least on paper. Any given day, anything can happen. But from Clemson's perspective, they should be able to run their offense, and they should be able to stop South Carolina on defense because South Carolina has done a good enough job stopping themselves on offense this year.
Okay, the phone number 800-956-7266. Our email talkback@sportstalksc.com. On Twitter @SportsTalkSC. One thing we're doing this week on Twitter is giving you a daily Palmetto Bowl poll question. So today, who will pass for more yards, Jake Bentley or Kelly Bryant? And 71% of nearly 800 voters say Jake Bentley will pass for more yards than Kelly Bryant.
I scoff at that.
Why would you scoff at that?
What is the highest total of yards that Jake Bentley's had this season? Honestly, I'd have to look it up.
He has thrown in the bowl game last year. Did he not throw for like almost 400 yards?
Yeah,
300 and something.
I'm talking about this year.
Well, this year
the offense has been stuck in a gear that is lower than neutral. They're in like L1 right now. Okay,
I think that's by design. I really do, because that's one of the reasons I thought that Wofford thought they had a really good chance of this football game, because South Carolina wants to play the game with a metronome. They don't like a lot of possessions. They want to rest their defense because of the lack of depth. So when you say, well, their yards are down, they don't run up a lot, they don't want to. If they can get 8 to 12 possessions in a football game, and South Carolina plays strong defense, I think that's what they want. Clemson wants 25 or 30 possessions.
His biggest game this year was against Kentucky, where he threw for 304 yards. I think Kelly Bryant had that in the first half against Citadel, honestly.
Well, come on. You cannot use that game
I'm not trying to use it. I'm just saying.
Comparative reason.
What I'm trying to say is that Kelly Bryant has had a better season than Jake Bentley has. Passing the football, running the football, total offense. Clemson's had a better season than South Carolina in that perspective. I know that people want to keep on saying there's going to be a game that Jake Bentley breaks out of this and turns into the guy that we thought he was going to be. I just don't see it. I really don't.
Kelly Bryant passed for 230 yards against the Citadel.
To be exact. Which would be the third highest total.
Okay, but you can't use that game for comparative reasons. You just said something outlandish. You said he threw for 300 and something yards in the first half.
I was being facetious.
This is not the week to be facetious. Okay, everything this week is on the record.
Well, I'm telling you that on the record, Kelly Bryant will have more passing yards than Jake Bentley.
Okay.
On the record.
Well, now you got to also consider the two defenses one is going up against versus the other.
An all-world defense against a very good defense.
Yeah. So it could make it a little more difficult. But that's the poll question, and it gives people a chance to think about that particular aspect of the game. If you haven't voted there yet, do so. Then we have our other poll question on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. It's a much more simple poll question, and it is who will win the Palmetto Bowl this year. And 53.6% say Clemson will win. 46.3% picking the Gamecocks. 800-956-7266 is the phone number We'll hit your phone calls after the break. We come to you from the Casual Pint in Lexington. Be right back. It is indeed USC Clemson week. Here on Sports Talk, we come to you from the Casual Pint in Lexington. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be with you live, of course, tonight, tomorrow night, Wednesday night. Thursday will be our Thanksgiving special, a preview of the Clemson-USC game. Back with you live on Friday as we take you right up until game day here on Sports Talk.
I mean, you're going to break me away from my stuffing to be in for 2 hours on Thanksgiving? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, it'll be a recorded show on Thanksgiving.
You're really going to come out and say it's a recorded show, are you? Okay.
We don't fool people.
I was hoping
they're not so dumb to think we're doing a live show on Thanksgiving.
Aren't they?
Okay?
Aren't they?
No, they're not
Aren't
that
they?
gullible. They know us, and they know historically we do a tape show.
Understand.
On you were trying to snow them by saying you were coming away from your turkey dinner to be live. Were you not there, Sly Boy?
I was just trying to. Hey, by the
Tell
way,
people what you're wearing tonight, by the way.
So I am wearing a South Carolina shirt and a Clemson hat to be totally political and completely on both sides of the issue this week.
Oh, okay. Okay. In other words, afraid to take a stand, afraid to take a position. Are you picking a tie? You know, for many years I picked a tie in this game. Yeah.
I find
that voice is the voice of Kev Cohen.
I find it very painful to sit on that fence, especially if it's a picket fence.
One thing I did do better than you this weekend, though, is I did eat better than you in Charleston, bro.
I bet you did. I saw some of the pictures. You went to Hank Seafood?
I went to Hank Seafood, and I did also I went to Burwell Steakhouse. Had a very, very nice, best steak I've had since I left Texas.
I did well down in the Grand Strand area. I did okay myself. Yes, indeed. Kev Cohen is here from The Point Radio. He just finished up his show prior to us, and he has come by to say hello. How are you?
Doing well, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us out here as part of our Around the State tour this season.
You know, I know you guys go to a lot of places where it's somebody's hometown bar, where it's somebody's place where they basically are an institution. Really, the only institution here is Will.
Yes.
You know, Will is the guy that everybody came out. When is Will getting here? When is Will getting here? That's all I was hearing for the whole 2 hours.
I understand.
They didn't care about you or me, but when is Will Pelagic getting here? I want to see the new guy. I want to see the new guy.
Really? Is that a fact?
All the girls, all the
live,
waitresses,
in
all the
person.
waitresses, yeah.
Well,
All
here he is in all his glory.
Such a liar.
Will be taking pictures with kids and with the ladies. Now you only
Kissing
charge
babies.
what, $3.50 a picture?
A special holiday rate.
Very kind of you. Very kind. Well, thanks for coming out here. This is cool. I love the whole pigskin preview theme that you guys have done all around the whole state, and I think it's awesome to get around and visit different markets of different affiliates, and obviously all the different coaches and different people that you visit with throughout the year. And this is the big one, obviously, the Civil War.
Absolutely.
Spartanburg, Greenville, Conway, Newberry, Aiken, and now here.
Yes.
Love it.
Now, Kev, the Pigskin Challenge this year, you bounced back last week. You went 3-2.
Yeah,
But you're a paltry 27-33.
After running away and hiding from you guys last year.
You were quite good. This year, it's the big kahuna down in Charleston, Bobby Harden.
Give Bobby his props, man.
35-25, but I am nipping at his heels at 33-27.
Well, one good thing for guys like me in this year's thing is that we do a lot of games for the bowl, so you're not out of it yet.
Right.
You can make a serious play.
Make a run.
You can make a run. So.
I just want to finish ahead of Corn.
There is still work to be done. Well, you've got some work to do, my friend.
I got 3 games.
You're 30-30.
Now, this week's game counts as like 5 games, right? Carolina Clemson?
No,
Clemson,
it counts
Carolina?
as one. It counts as one.
It should count for 5.
Counts as
We
one.
should have like prop bets on the side of it. It should just be all Carolina Clemson,
like
the result and the prop bets.
Too complicated.
Like who says hi, mom, first, like they used to do in Vegas.
Pro is 31-29. Matt, the newsman, is 24-36. And the bad boy, Alan Smothers, 28-32. So what's your pick? I mean, you'll get it officially on the paper here during the week. But what is your pick for Saturday? What do you like?
I think Clemson's going to win the football game. I mean, I think that if you are looking at it as objectively as possible, I want you to think about it this way. We're actually talking about a game that could actually be decided in 4 quarters and be an up-for-grabs type football game, or we're at least talking about a game that could be within 10, 12, 14 points, whereas I think all of us last year going into it knew we were waiting for, and we got exactly what we expected, which was a blowout. So just the fact that you can have a conversation now about two teams that are going to play a competitive game, and that this thing is by no means a lock for Clemson, and certainly not a 56-7 type game like it was a year ago, I think that just goes to show you the progress that Coach Muschamp and the Gamecocks have made from one year to the next. So that's big.
You can find us on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. We have somebody who weighed in on our Jake Bentley, Kelly Bryant debate. Corn. He said that JB is digressed. I think he was meant to say regressed this season. A lot of high floaters. His age is not the reason. What does he need to correct? He needs to make the simple throws. That's the main thing. He misses too many simple throws. He can make the high degree of difficulty throw, but when it comes to a 3rd down and 4, you just need 4 yards. Sometimes he'll either float it or he'll try to take a chance and maybe go deep. I think his decision making is at a point right now where he does not necessarily make the easy throw from that perspective.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. If he has time in the pocket And if his receivers can get some separation, he can complete the passes and make the big plays for the Gamecocks. The rest of this week for you, we're with you again tomorrow night, right?
Sure.
We are where tomorrow night?
We are at Palmetto Propane, Fish Hatchery Road over in West Columbia.
Okay.
And we're going to hook up everybody. We've got that big green egg that we're going to be giving away, which is over $1,000 grill. And we're going to give everybody that comes by prizes. And we're going to feed everybody thanks to our friends at the South Carolina Pork Board.
Sounds great.
Yes. So,
the other white
of
meats.
fun.
And what's the other slogan that we had last week or a couple of weeks
Pork
ago?
powered by soy?
No, that was another one.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah,
I'll have to come up with it before the end of the show.
I don't remember what it was. But anyway, look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, man. Thanks for both of these today and tomorrow. Looking forward to talking a lot of football.
We really appreciate everything you've done with The Point. To people who aren't aware of the little radio station that can and is The Point.
Growing. We're not so little anymore.
Started from truly the ground and you have built something very special in Columbia. Local radio. Local radio. Those of us who've been in local radio all these years still appreciate it and know the importance of local radio in communities.
You appreciate that. Yeah, 4 years in running. So you had a lot of really, really good people step up and take ownership of this radio station in the Midlands area, and we really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Kev Cohen,
thanks.
With us here on Sports Talk. Let's hit some of your phone calls. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Let's go to Stephen in Charleston. First up tonight here on Sports Talk. Welcome in, Stephen. How are you?
Hey, doing great, guys. How are y'all?
Good.
Hi, Steve.
First of all, I cannot believe, I'm sure any football fan would agree, cannot believe it's already the Carolina-Clemson game. I know every year it seems like it goes by faster and faster, and it's just tough to think it's almost over already. I was going to say my thoughts on the game. I think the line is probably about right. I've noticed a trend with Clemson this year with Boston College game y'all referenced, Wake game, and a couple of the other ones there. They tend to get out to an early start, do well, get up by maybe 2 touchdowns or so, and then kind of kick it into low gear and kind of play a little more conservative. I think a lot of it had to do with Kelly Bryant's injury early on, but now that he's fully healthy, I still kind of noticed it the last 2 weeks. So I could see that kind of going that way. I think they're going to probably get out to a little bit of an early lead. Carolina will keep it close. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 1, maybe 2 possession game in the fourth quarter, but I think, I was going to say what it sticks out in my head is like 31-17. I think Carolina's going to struggle to score like y'all talked about. And, at the end of the day, I think Clemson may score a late touchdown and make it a 2-possession game or maybe like that. So that's what I'm thinking. I think it's going to look a lot like the Carolina-Georgia game. I just thought what I thought, and I can't wait to see what happens. Hard to believe it's over. So, y'all have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, the season just flies by. We wait for it to get here over all the spring and summer. It gets here, and it's like zip.
I think the Carolina-Georgia game is a good comparative barometer to at least point to from a Carolina perspective. It's a game that they could have competed better in at times. There were just a couple of plays one way or the other, and that's a time ball game. So it's not as if South Carolina is so far back, but it's a matter of can they make the plays that are important enough down the stretch to make things happen.
All right, more calls coming up after the break here on Sports Talk. Plus, we'll have recruiting coming up for you. This note, not totally related to recruiting, but kind of. Zamir White, nation's top running back out of Laurinburg, North Carolina, tore his ACL on Friday night. At first, they just thought it was a bruise. Turns out it was an ACL. Finishes his career with 7,173 rushing yards and 119 rushing touchdowns. Of course, he is committed to Georgia. Okay, we'll be back. More from the Casual Pint here in Columbia and our studios in Columbia, too. Back in a moment. All right, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. It is Clemson USC week. We begin the week with you from the Casual Pint in Lexington. Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor, Tom Hayes. And our phone number, 800-956-7266. Looking forward to continuing with your phone calls, your thoughts on the upcoming game. Give us your pick. I like Clemson 21-14. Will likes
Clemson 24-10.
And Pro, you like?
I like Clemson 28-17.
28-17. So we all see relatively competitive game, a relatively competitive game. You know, a lot of people are, you go back 2 years ago when South Carolina was really in disarray and they played Clemson in Columbia. And it was, of course, the Gamecocks scored at the very end to make it look cosmetically better. But it was a tougher game than I think most Clemson people thought it was going to be. Then there was last year's game. This year, an entirely different scenario, an entirely different USC team, little bit different Clemson team. Great defense. They do not have the dynamic, explosive offense that they had last year. Special teams are a bit of a concern. I'm talking about kicking the ball, field goals, extra points. That's a bit of a guessing game for both teams going in.
They do have a game-breaking guy in Ray McLeod. They don't necessarily have. I mean, they had that guy earlier this year at South Carolina with Deebo Samuel, but I don't think
Lamont can be dangerous in the return game.
Not as dangerous as McLeod can. I think McLeod is a much bigger threat.
Okay, so is everything going to be Clemson will here? Everything's going to be Clemson's better at everything in this game? You don't give the Gamecocks any credit for being able to do anything right?
Where do you think they have an advantage, Colin? I'm happy to sit here and answer you about whether Clemson is not an advantage.
I would take South Carolina's tight end over Clemson.
Okay,
I would take Hayden Hurst.
One position.
Okay, that's a start.
One position.
All right.
I don't like their offensive line.
In some ways, I would take Jay over Kelly Bryant throwing the football. In some cases,
really.
Drop back in the pocket.
I would
look
take
down the field.
I would take Jake Bentley throwing to Clemson's receiving core over that. I wouldn't necessarily.
I have no problem with South Carolina's receiving core. None. No problem.
Okay.
I have no problem with South Carolina's receiving core. I think they're a very good group of receivers. It's too bad they
haven't caught that many passes this year. That's the problem.
I wish for their sake that they had Deebo.
I did too.
You know, that would really
would make it look a lot different.
Yeah, again, guys, about pure yardage and catches. I'm telling you, South Carolina's offense, the way they play, is the way Will Muschamp wants them to play right now because of his lack of depth on defense. He wants to give his defense chance to rest. That's why they've been significantly better this year, because of the rest they're getting with the offense running on a metronome. If they wanted to run up yards,
the hell is a metronome?
It's what you use with the piano. The piano thing. It keeps time.
Okay, so what does that got to do with football?
What he's trying to say is South Carolina basically likes to play keep away.
You slow the pace. That's why I'm telling you that Wofford thought they had a legitimate chance to win this game, because they want to keep their opposition down to around 8 or 9 possessions a game, and they know that's where the way South Carolina plays. I'm not trying
to be Clemson Will here.
Don't back up. Don't back up.
But I'm just saying
you've been in the state a short amount of time. You've hopped on the hot bandwagon. I get that.
Stop it.
I get that.
Stop it.
You know?
Backing me into a corner here.
Let's get back to the phones, 800-956-7266. Let's go to Mark in Aiken. Welcome to Sports Talk tonight. Mark, how are you?
Hey, Phil, I appreciate the phone call. I always enjoy talking with you gentlemen. Let me ask you this. Based on what Alabama and Miami, Oklahoma, and even Wisconsin do in their games, I mean, if they just go in there and annihilate their opponents, what will a 21-17, 2014 win, what will that look like to the committee? I mean, I hope Clemson goes in there and steamrolls. Having said that, I'm inclined to agree with you, Phil. I'm just not sure about the 15 points. If it gets to 13, I just don't know. But what will a win like that look like to the committee? Because it seems like the committee always wants to jockey everybody around week 12, and then especially going into the week of the conference championships, they want to maneuver everybody around. So having said that,
I think the committee loves Clemson.
Yeah.
I think the committee loves Clemson no matter. I think the fact that they moved them up to number 2 after that win over Florida State, considering how handicapped Florida State is. I mean, that's not even close to being Florida State football. And that was at home, and Clemson had its struggles there with Florida State for a little while. If they come into Columbia and win by a touchdown or 10 points, I think the committee would look very favorably at that.
The committee loves Clemson, Corn. I don't think they could win the game by a point and they'd still be where they are.
But I think that's respect to South Carolina, too, now. I mean, you're looking at an 8-win team. This isn't a 4-win team, 5-win team. This is the second-place team in the SEC East. Say what you will about the East, but they're still second place in the East. Won 5 league games, won 8 games overall. They took care of their business every game except one, and that was Kentucky. That's the one game they'll go back and look at and say, we really blew it there. They could have stolen one at Texas A&M. They probably weren't going to beat Georgia. This was very close to being a 6-win SEC team and a 9-win regular season team, but they spit the bit against Kentucky.
Of the playoff hopefuls, this is the second toughest game among the playoff hopefuls. I think the toughest one would be Alabama-Auburn, obviously, because of the fact that basically serves as an elimination game. I think this one is the second toughest game among playoff contenders. Wisconsin should have no trouble beating Minnesota. Miami should have no trouble beating Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And outside of that, I mean, who else are you looking at?
All right, thanks for your phone call. So, I think if Clemson just wins, they'll be fine. They're going to be in, no problem. 800-956. Oh, you still have to beat Miami. 800-956-7266. Vern in Bishopville, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
I'm doing good. I want to speak to that Elijah guy. Where you from, Texas?
Hang on a second. Let me get it for you. Vern wants you.
Hi, Vern. How are you?
I'm good. When you going back to Texas?
I have no plans, Vern. I have no plans.
He has put his roots down.
I have no
plans.
He is
here for a lifetime.
First off, I came from Texas. I didn't necessarily come from Texas.
You need to kind of have a little bit of respect for the University of South Carolina.
I have plenty of respect for the University of South Carolina.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You know
I have
the reason
plenty
I
of
say
respect
that?
for the University of South Carolina.
You know the reason I say that? You know the reason I say that? Because all the things you be saying. But I know every man got an opinion. But anyway, it's something like that. Don't say Clemson was not beatable.
I didn't say they weren't beatable. When did I say they weren't beatable?
Well, you actually kind of sound that way.
No,
name me one play that South Carolina's better, Phil. Certainly sounds that way.
Get a picture of him and put it right over your bed.
Oh, yeah. I think anybody who knows me knows that I've had more than my issue with Dabo Swinney over the course of this year, including the 13th of October where they lost a completely inexcusable contest to Syracuse, and I thought that they should have been out of the playoff as a result of that. So to call me a Clemson homer is irrespective to what I've actually said over the course of this year. But in this ball game, it is a matchup nightmare for South Carolina. I'm sorry. What South Carolina does well, Clemson can neutralize, and what Clemson does well, I don't think South Carolina can neutralize. It's just that simple. It's not a reflection of the two programs where they are. South Carolina has closed the gap considerably from where it was last year, and they've had a very good season. 8 wins is a step forward from what people thought they were going to be this year. But in this game, I'm sorry. I see Clemson as a 2-touchdown favorite over them.
Your voice goes up about 15 octaves when
I get challenged?
When you get excited.
I get excited.
Yeah,
I'm big.
Your voice just goes up, 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 up.
I have range.
Almost female-like.
Female-like.
Will has truly arrived because he's gotten on our truck driver's last nerve. When you get on Vern's
fired a shot at Will. That's funny.
It's not baptism by fire this week, apparently.
You have gotten on Vern's bad side, which is a good thing.
I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Thank you, Vern. We appreciate the phone call.
No, you don't.
In recruiting, we'll have an update on Jordan McFadden for you and also an update on Channing Tindall. So stay tuned for that. We'll continue with calls, 800-956-7266. We are at the Casual Pint in Lexington. This is a wonderful place. Boy, I tell you what, if you want a beer,
they have it for you.
I think they can find you one that you would like.
About they have 34 taps right now.
Is that right? I should go get a little bit out of each tap. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. We continue on this Monday edition of Sports Talk. We're at the Casual Pints in Lexington. We kick off USC Clemson week here on Sports Talk. I want to remind you, too, that we've got the North-South Touchstone Energy Bowl All-Star Game coming up on December the 9th in Myrtle Beach. And make sure you get your tickets for that game. They are available online for $15 at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com. Also, the magazine for Touchstone Energy, SC Living, is giving away tickets to the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl. The winner gets 2 tickets, a $100 Visa gift card, and free Touchstone Energy merchandise. December 1 is the deadline to enter. Go to the magazine's website, scliving.coop/touchdown. Get involved and get entered. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. We continue with your phone calls on this Monday. Alan and Rock Hill, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Good. How are y'all doing tonight?
Good.
Good. I can't agree more with the professor saying that Gamecocks never really wanted to get a gun shoot with anybody this year. They just kind of want to hide back and really don't want to swing the ball too much and well, they can't run the score up on anybody. But just saying that Clemson's offense is just going to, go up and down the field. I would imagine, but the defense is just going to, I think, just stop Bentley and the whole offense in its tracks. It's just going to be a 3-and-out a lot for Clemson, and hopefully Clemson can score a lot of points.
Got a score
on that?
You got a score for us? Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be like it was last year, but I'm saying 35-14-ish. I don't think it's going to be as close as a lot of people are calling it, but if Clemson's defense is playing like they have in the past, there's going to be a lot of 3-and-outs, and their defense is going to be on the field a lot. The South Carolina's defense will be on the field a lot.
Yeah. All right, thanks. Yeah, South Carolina's going to have to get some 3-and-outs, give their offense a chance with good field position. If the Tigers put if Clemson puts USC's offense in long field situations, that'll be tough for USC. Now, one thing about this Gamecock defense this year, though, guys, is they've given up yards between the 20s, but they have done a good job limiting the damage once a team has gotten into the red zone.
That's the one thing, too, that I think will be very interesting because NC State game, they let up, I think, was around like 400, 500 yards of total offense, but they were holding NC State to field goal opportunities they ended up missing. And one thing that we've talked about with these two teams is that special teams, as far as the kicking game, is a question. If you get Clemson ending drives and chances for 3 instead of 6, that's at least half the battle. So, and that's the other thing, too, is that I don't know if they're necessarily going to be able to run it for 300 yards like they have against some of these other opponents. So if you can at least limit what you can and get stops on third down, get off the field on third down like you have in recent weeks, you got a shot.
I still can't measure how important the home field advantage is to South Carolina. If you look back 2 years ago when that ragtag bunch lost to the Citadel and came back and played a fourth quarter game against a team headed toward the national championship game. I'm still trying to measure how much that means to South Carolina. Not so much that Clemson likes to destroy people on the road, but how much the home field advantage in this game means to the home team.
Let's go to Billy in Greenville. Next call here on Sports Talk tonight. Hello, Billy. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good.
Yeah. And I'm in no way I'm scared on football or all that. But it would almost seem to me that, even though South Carolina needs to slow up, I think at certain points they need to kind of go back, quick passes and stuff like that. I think if you get to where you try to slow it down too much, I think that sort of plays into Clemson's hands. I could agree. At certain points, I think they kind of speed it up.
Well, they tried that last year at Death Valley. Remember, they had Jake Bentley trot over to the sideline to get every play for a couple of reasons. Number one, they wanted to make sure he got the right play because he was so limited in his knowledge of the playbook and in his ability to change plays that they just weren't going to have him at the line of scrimmage. And then they wanted to slow the pace down as well. up there, and it didn't go well at all. Jake had a horrible day. If anybody on the Gamecock squad is playing for redemption, it's Jake Bentley, because he did not look comfortable at all. And you have to remember that still he was a really young pup. He should have been in high school last year. This should be his true freshman year. But now he's been through 7 games last year. He's been through 11 games this year. So he's got 18 games of college football under his belt. He's played in College Station, Texas. He's played in Knoxville. He's played in Athens. He's played in Clemson. So nothing's going to phase him, but I do think he's going to have to reel in the excitable Jake Bentley, because he does get himself a little bit too hyped up, and this is the ultimate hyped up game.
It happened at Missouri earlier this year. It happened at Tennessee. It happened at a couple of other spots. And people who are Clemson fans have long memories about the comments he made in May about, Clemson wasn't necessarily better than us, or, they weren't as good as, they weren't necessarily 51 points better than us, and they might not have been better than us at all. Those kinds of comments are still ringing with Clemson fans back from there. So he has some stuff to answer for, and, whether or not he can channel that energy properly will be the biggest test for him this week.
Okay, Billy, thank you very much. Appreciate your phone call. Let's go to Dr. Tiger in Myrtle Beach. Hello, Dr. Tiger. How are you?
Good evening, Phil. What's going on, buddy?
Man, we're having a great time. We're here at the Casual Pint. And, boy, if you are hankering for some beer, they've got the answer for you.
Yeah, I understand that. It sounds like a great place.
Yeah.
I was so upset with Logic. I was about to have to start calling him Willie Bryce Potomac. But, even as much as he beat up on Clemson for the last week or two, it seems like every show. But tonight I'm going to have to agree with him. So I think he's correct. South Carolina, they don't have the depth on either side of the line, offense or defense. They don't have the running backs. Clemson's got too much as far as Feaster and Etienne go, and there's 2 really good guys behind them. I think they clean up any mess. Tight end position, Hurst is probably a little better. He's a little better there. I think the only other thing they have to get better is Jake Bentley, for all his shortcomings, he is a little bit better passer. But I just don't think they've got the depth anywhere. Kicking game is about even if you ask me as far as kickers go, but the kicking game total, I think Clemson's better on kickoff returns and coverage. And I just don't. I see it being 28-14. But I think it's going to be. I'll let you guys talk on that.
All right, you got Clemson 28-14. Now, all the picks are coming in now. First couple of picks last week when we started came in for the Gamecocks, but ever since then it's been all Clemson.
I'm glad that I could finally be in Dr. Tiger's corner after a couple of weeks.
You made a friend.
Well, it just shows that, I can be critical of both sides. I feel like I play things very much down the middle, as my apparel can denote as well.
Yes, okay. Very nice. 800-956-7266 coming up on the break here on Sports Talk. We'll have recruiting coming up for you. A visit coming up from Zach Willis, the coach. Gives us his 1st and 10 on the Gamecocks and the Tigers. No Mick Mixon tonight since the Panthers were off this weekend. So we'll give Mick a break here on Monday. They get ready. Well, they needed time. They needed 2 weeks to get ready for the Jets. I'll tell you what. He's got to go up there and play the Jets.
Easy.
Of course, my team, I cannot make fun of any other NFL team the way my team is going right now. Of course, we're hurt. We're like Florida State. We don't have our quarterback. We got
the Jets have no such excuses.
Well, you still don't have a quarterback. I mean, you thought you had a quarterback, but you don't have a quarterback.
I never thought they had a quarterback. They haven't had a quarterback since Namath, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe Testaverde.
No.
Maybe.
How
Maybe
about
Testaverde.
no? How about?
Don't tell me limp arm Chad Pennington.
Who was the guy? Didn't you have an Alabama? Was it Rutledge? Was he the Giants or the Jets? Didn't you have Jeff Rutledge?
No.
No?
We did not have Jeff Rutledge.
Okay. I thought you had a quarterback in there.
We had Ken O'Brien, maybe.
Ken O'Brien wasn't bad. Yeah. All right, top of the hour break. We'll be back with more of your calls and more from here at the Casual Pint in West.
2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. We're at the Casual Pint in Lexington. Just gave away a bunch of Clemson and USC basketballs. Well, Clemson football, USC basketball. Folks are having a great time having dinner. You can eat here. Got a terrific little menu. And, of course, it's all about the beer here at the Casual Pint, I would say.
Don't sell them on the pint. Sell them on the beer, man. Sell them on the beer.
Yeah. What is your favorite? You got a favorite?
A favorite beer?
Yeah, a favorite beer.
Oh, man.
Now, let me guess. For you, just looking at you, I would say favorite beer is probably PBR.
No. I'm more classy than that. You know,
is that right? Oh, okay. Now it's not classy to drink Pabst Blue Ribbon. Okay, I get that.
I got rid of my Pabst Blue Ribbon days in college, man.
What is your favorite beer?
I would say my favorite everyday beer would be a Yingling, I would say. But I'm very, very curious about some of the ones that are on that board up there. They got a couple of sour pale ales that are up there. They got a couple of IPAs. I'm very intrigued by their 34-pint selection here in Lexington.
Yeah, Pro, what is your favorite beer? I've never asked.
Water.
Yeah. That's what
my days of killing brain cells have long been over.
800-956-7266 is our phone number here on Sports Talk. We're going to have the coach, Zach Willis, with us here in just a moment. Take another couple of phone calls. Recruiting coming up for you here in a little bit, too. We're brought to you by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. Let's go to Hank in Columbia. Then we'll ring up the coach. Hank, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Corn. I guess I couldn't say that I'm a Carolina fan, but I wouldn't be saying that Carolina won Saturday. But I think some of the mismatches that some of the guys are pointing out are I have a different opinion on a couple of them. One, Bryant may have, I guess, thrown for more yards than Bentley this year, but a lot of his yardage is when you throw a 5-yard hitch and Raymond Kyle takes it 60 yards. I don't know that he's that much better a passer, even though he's had more yards.
Let me say one thing here real quick when it comes to stats, and this is where stats, of course, can be misleading. You look at the 2 games that Clemson had against the Citadel this past week where he threw for 200 and some odd yards, 230 yards, I think we said. And then you look at the Kent State game where he threw for 236 yards. I mean, in Clemson's offense in both of those games, of course, they rolled up 665 yards against Kent State.
662 against Citadel.
And 662 against the Citadel. So you're talking about adjusting your numbers upwardly against 2 inferior opponents there. That's why it makes it a little bit skewed to some degree when you look at their numbers.
He threw for 316 against Louisville in that Louisville game that everybody says was so tough.
Louisville's defense.
But I give him full credit for that. I'm not taking anything away from him. I give him full credit for that.
But Louisville's defense is really god awful. But what I'm saying is, even if you go, I think the way that Carolina plays defense is going to cause them, Clemson offensively, some problems because one of the things that Carolina has an issue going the long ball, and South Carolina's one of the teams that kind of leads the country in turnovers, but also the way they're playing defense now is that the way they play defense. You remember when Carolina was beating with Ellis Johnson, he gave up yardage because he always felt like Clemson would have to execute when you got in the red zone, and that's where the issues were. And if Clemson starts to become impatient because they want to get up on Carolina, then Carolina's not going to allow the receivers to man up and run behind them. I think it's just going to be interesting. I would say Carolina was going to win, but I don't think Clemson's going to roll in there and just be throwing 80 and 90-yard bombs. I don't see it.
Give me your score. What do you got?
I think this game might be somewhere in the neighborhood of like a 31-24 or 27-21. I think it could be a 7 to 10 point game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Okay,
think if
thanks.
Carolina plays well enough, they have an opportunity to win. Just depends on how Clemson, how long they can stay in the game.
I think it's going to be a fourth quarter game, and thank you very much. And, you know, Clemson has been in a bunch of fourth quarter games this year. And in South Carolina, I'm sure would love to take them into the fourth quarter with a chance at winning. Let's do a little 1st and 10 here on the Gamecocks and the Tigers. First up, 10 minutes with Coach Zach Willis, who, of course, is a South Carolina native, been around this state a long, long time. And I know probably as a kid, and even when you were playing at Furman, but I guess more recently when you were a GA at South Carolina, this week very, very big to you, and you really get, as a football person, you really get fired up when the rivalry game rolls around.
I ain't no doubt about it, Phil. When I was young, this was the biggest thing on the board. When I was GA and coaching those Tigers at South Carolina, there was no game like this before.
Do you think the Gamecocks have made up enough ground on the Tigers to make this a fourth quarter game?
Well, the short answer is I don't think so. But here's the key to fans. And this, I'm going to say this. They don't need to be there to distract Clemson because they're not going to distract Clemson. They need to show up for the kids that play in the corner and black. They need to be there to back them. No bullying this week. I don't care how bad the offensive play calling is. They can afford that. Clemson kids don't hear that kind of thing. This has got to be a first South Carolina crowd. I think that's a big part of this game.
I've been lambasted by fans of a certain perspective, Zach, for saying that it's hard for me to find a position of advantage for South Carolina against Clemson. Can you find one to either silence me or support me?
I gave you one already, but go ahead, Zach. He wants professional. He wants professional confirmation here.
Well, that's even my professionalism has been called into question a few times in my career. But anyway, I appreciate that, Phil. Obviously, tight end, I think South Carolina's got the better guy there. And I think at quarterback, that's a whole lot more even. And, the key there is psychological. If Pittman can come out and be under control and play calm in a big game early, he can help. He can be a key to this ball game. But that's the best I can do. That's only if he plays to the level he needs to play to, and that's a very high level.
Well, we haven't really seen that level from him, though, yet, have we, Zach?
No, we have not.
Well, Coach, this is the thing I want you to do. I want you to go in the locker room. I don't want you to even talk about X's and O's. And maybe I'm attributing this wrongly, but I think it was Danny Ford who told his team before they went in that national championship game against Nebraska, nobody told you had to be the best team to come on the field. You just have to be the best team for this 60 minutes we're playing this football game. What do you tell South Carolina?
I think that's exactly what you do. You got to make it personal. You got to do two things. You got to balance it out. You got to have the defense with a control burn the whole game. They've got to play with that fire for 60 minutes and match Clemson's intensity, which is not easy to do. Clemson's been in these games before. He's got to find a motivational edge there, and he can take Jake Bentley. Jake Bentley's already there. He plays every game emotionally on the edge. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. They need to keep him calm, and the rest of them jokers, they need to jack them up to the roof. They've got to find a way to get them mad enough and have that control fury and understand what this rivalry means and play for it with everything they got. It's just going to take just that, everything they got, and it still may not be enough.
It's 1st and 10 with Zach Willis here on Sports Talk, breaking down the USC-Clemson game coming up on Saturday. As you look at USC's offensive line against Clemson's defensive front, how much push, if any, can the Gamecocks get there?
I don't think much. Here, they've got to use their quarterback in the run game. We've talked about it all year long. They have to pull out every stop, every misdirection, every false speed they can to try to do whatever they can to manufacture, even if it's kind of a fake running game, so to speak, not powered up right down the middle. To see they can't get Clemson confused, and that may lead to some big runs when they need them.
All right, hang on, Zach. Going to hit a break here. We'll be back more 1st and 10 with Zach Willis on Sports Talk. All right, Sports Talk on a Monday night of USC Clemson week all across the state of South Carolina. Reminder, we're live with you tomorrow night, live on Wednesday, Thursday night, pre-recorded special preview of USC Clemson. Back with you live on Friday, leading up to game day, 7:30 kickoff at Williams-Brice. Should be a great atmosphere. Everybody should be ready to rock and roll, and really, really looking forward to it. I want to remind you here on Sports Talk, David Shelton will be along in a little bit. We'll review the high school playoffs as those are winding down. We've got the high school football all-star season in South Carolina right around the corner. You can get tickets now to the Touchstone Energy Bowl North-South game by going to their website, touchstoneenergybowl.com. You can save some money. It's only $15 until November 24th. Plus, you can register to win 2 tickets to the game, a $100 Visa gift card, and free Touchstone Energy merchandise. Just go to their website, scliving.coop/touchdown. And my goodness, get down and support the game. As many fans as possible need to be there. It's a terrific week for the kids in Myrtle Beach. And the game itself is always fun and exciting. Get to see some of the best players in the state of South Carolina go at it at one spot at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium in Myrtle Beach. Now, back to Zach. Were you trying to remember your day coming out of McCall? Shrine Bowl, north-south, either one? I can't remember.
Shoot, I was in the toilet bowl. Leslie Furman signed me.
Well, they signed you because of your academics, obviously.
Absolutely. I was a Furman scholar out of McCall.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's great. Much lower back then. So.
That's great. That's great. All right, so let's continue to break things down here as we look ahead to the game. So we talked about USC's offensive line versus Clemson's defensive line. What about the other way around? South Carolina's defensive line, a little bit deeper than last year, more talented. Clemson's offensive line been pretty rock steady, and they've worked in a number of new guys to really give them about an 8-man rotation. That matchup, who's going to win out?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think Clemson has edge now. Just a little bit more even up here. South Carolina, if they focus country, they can confuse Kelly Bryant like Syracuse did. Or they knocked him out of the game. That's how they won the game. I'm not advocating that at all, and that wasn't intentional on Syracuse's part. But any kind of blitz and pressure in the sky coverage, try to slow down that Clemson offense. That's going to work in South Carolina's advantage. And they've got to go in here like they've got nothing to lose to it.
With Clemson, how do you feel like they're going to attack South Carolina? Because that secondary obviously is something that has had its ups and downs this year for South Carolina. Yes, Rashad Fenton really does lock down one side of the field, but they are vulnerable in other areas, although that they have improved in recent weeks. Will they use more of a run attack, or will you think Kelly Bryant will layer things out?
I think they'll balance it out, and they'll take whatever South Carolina gives them. If they give them the big play, they'll take it. Basically, they don't need to change a whole lot. Clemson's not the team coming in here that needs to do a lot of new different things. They need to keep the ship steady. Kelly Bryant needs to be rock steady in this ball game. Don't get rattled. But you really haven't seen him beat them up very much at all. And you just run the football when it's given to them. Take the short pass, and the big play will happen if they're able to execute their fundamental plays, which is the inside zone, the power game, and quarterback runs, and the screen pass.
Do you think South Carolina's linebacking core as a group runs well enough and will be good enough against the run to, and in Clemson's case, it's like a single wing when they emphasize Kelly Bryant as a runner. Can they hold up against that? I mean, we're talking Sky Moore, who, of course, is a fantastic linebacker. T.J. Brunson's having a big year. They're working Sherrod Green in more. When they go to their 3 linebacker scheme on defense, do they have what it takes to fill the gaps and slow down and maybe stymie that running game?
I think the key is their defensive tackles can't give up any movement up front and let them be able to get off. If they can hold the double teams up, absolutely, South Carolina linebackers can play with these guys. But they've not faced a team like Clemson, including Georgia. So there's a lot of unknowns here, and the emotion has to take over. They've got to play over their heads, except for Sky Moore, who's beaten Clemson multiple times and is a great football player. The other guys have to talk to his lead.
Coach, how important is the run fits for the safeties? Because it seems that in Clemson's rudimentary offense, they're trying to move you side to side early in the ball game, right, left, right, left, right, left. And when you take a false step, that's when they pop that runner up the middle with a trap play and run the football. So the safeties, how important is their run fits in this game?
Well, those are Clemson really makes those the last man standing like it should do to a defense. They'll threaten you with the deep ball a little bit just to make the receiver out wide. They don't do a lot on the field. It is side to side, so again, you're right on target. We get stuff not only to get the safeties out of position, the linebackers, but maybe overrunning things a little bit, but it's to tire that defense to run out, and that's why they go fast. That's why they run plays at 19 seconds a pop. If they want to wear you down by going side to side, and when you get tired, they're like body blows to a boxer. They take your legs and bam, they get the big one on you up the middle.
What do you think is more important for South Carolina's offense in order to succeed? Is it going to be explosive plays, or is it just holding on to the football and staying on the field long enough?
They cannot turn the ball over. They have to take advantage of teams from secondary. I believe the receivers are good enough to do it. They've shown that they have the potential for big plays, and they've got a quarterback with the talent. If he can handle the bigness of the moment, not let it consume him. And, of course, they've got to keep that front seven off of Bentley, which they couldn't do last year. That's the key. That's their chance to take advantage of that beat-up, banged-up secondary and a little bit get in trips, get out of some of these formations, get in trips, and make something defend trips. They haven't defended it well all year, so it's the formation they defend.
You know, they only sacked the Gamecock quarterbacks 3 times last year. Remember, McElwain came in and played in the second half and led them to their only touchdown. But it wasn't like they got to the quarterbacks all that much, but at least early on, they certainly rattled Bentley, and he was unnerved the entire time. Yeah. As a young quarterback, he was going through trial by fire. He's played 18 games now. He has started 18 consecutive games at South Carolina. How much different of a quarterback do you expect him to be on Saturday compared to a year ago?
You know, honestly, to us, the biggest question is how composed will he be? And we'll send this out. We've seen him have 4 first quarters, or half the first quarter, first half of the first quarter, and then come on. He can't afford to do that against these guys. These guys will run him in the dirt. They can't turn it over, and they got to find a way to force Clemson into some errors. Look at the Syracuse game. That's the formula for beating these guys if South Carolina's going to do it. And their quarterback, Syracuse quarterback, played a great game that night.
And so the formula has to be running the quarterback some and then and making Clemson's defense respect that, and that will open up what for South Carolina, you think?
That's going to open up your play-action game. It's going to take the linebackers out of playing pass defense and sitting back and coming on a blitz or letting that front seven just dominate the game and put it on the shoulders of the secondary. Well, I think Edwards and some receivers can not only compete but can win there. And Bentley has the arm and the talent to get it to them. They've got to find a way, though, to contain that front seven and not get destroyed like teams like Georgia Tech. You look at the Georgia Tech and Auburn games. Auburn's what, 6th in the country now? They sacked them 11 times here. 11 times. Now, that's what Carolina's got to put up with. If they can handle that front seven, we got ourselves a ball game at least for 3 quarters. You get to the 4th quarter, and that's really all you can ask for, in my opinion.
Quick, about 30 seconds. Do you think Clemson will do most of its damage on the ground or through the air? Where will they be most effective?
Ooh, I think both. I mean, their offense is predicated on what you give them. That's what they're looking for, poise and advantages in personnel. And it's going to come down to what South Carolina does or does not do on defense and not let Clemson take advantage of it.
Hey, Zach, great stuff, my man. Thank you so much. Great Thanksgiving week, and get a review from you here on 1st and 10 with Zach. Thank you, Coach.
You're very welcome, guys. Thank you.
South Carolina better use that play action because they were allergic to it against Georgia. Didn't use it nearly enough.
Okay, we'll be right back. All right, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Clemson USC week. Let's give you some recruiting, and then David Shelton will be along. We'll recap the playoff action in high school football in South Carolina. Dorman offensive lineman Jordan McFadden told us last night he's been committed to Virginia Tech, but he took his official to Clemson over the weekend, and he said that right now Clemson would be out front. He'd be leaning to Clemson. He said being an in-state kid, having a great time there over the weekend, understanding how much he could grow as a person at Clemson. He said the visit definitely swayed him over to liking Clemson a little bit more. Now, he's got a game. They're still playing. I don't know if he's going to get around to doing anything this week. Might not be until next week, or maybe if they win, not until after they play for the championship. Who knows? But he's leaning that way now towards Clemson. He was hosted by John Simpson, and he called this visit to Clemson his best one. Coaches, he said, did not push for a comment, but they would like to know something soon. He plans to talk to his family about things and try and get a decision done maybe this week. Final decision done maybe this week. Clemson had his major recruiting weekend of the season over the weekend. All their current commitments came in, and most of their remaining uncommitted targets were in for officials. We mentioned McFadden, who technically is committed to Virginia Tech. But offensive lineman Cade Mays of Knoxville, receiver Justin Ross of Phoenix City, Alabama, defensive back Tyreek Johnson of Jacksonville, running back Lynn J. Dixon of Butler, Georgia, and defensive back Brendan Radley Hiles of IMG Academy in Florida. Mays has also taken an official to Ohio State. He has other trips scheduled with Tennessee, Name, and Georgia. He's a former Tennessee commitment. Ross has been to Auburn and Alabama unofficially. He may go back to Auburn this weekend for the Iron Bowl. Johnson also has taken officials to UCLA and Ohio State, and those are his three finalists with Clemson in there. He would not comment on the Clemson visit. He said he did not want to talk about it until after his game this Friday. Dixon is a former Tennessee commit. He has an upcoming official set with Tennessee, plus Louisville and Oklahoma State. And Radley Hiles is a former Nebraska commit. He has also taken officials to Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas. He's got UCLA scheduled for this weekend, but with the coaching change there, with them firing the coach, probably not going to happen. He is an L.A. native. Some unofficials at Clemson Saturday included Auburn commitment, receiver defensive back Matthew Hill of Snellville, Georgia, 2019 offensive lineman Cameron McCray of Berkeley, 2019 defensive lineman Trey Jeter of Belton Honeypath, 2019 tight end Garmon Randolph of Jefferson, Georgia, 2019 running back Kalen Deloach of Savannah, 2019 athlete Litchfield Ajavon of Alexandria, Virginia, 2019 defensive back Kenny Solomon of Socastee, 2019 place kicker Aiden Swanson of IMG Academy, 2020 defensive lineman DeMonte Capehart of Hartsville, 2020 linebacker Corey Smith of Hightstown, New Jersey, and 2020 place kicker Cole Hussung of Floyd's Knob, Indiana. Floyd's Knob, okay. 2019 quarterback receiver Jaquez Evans of Atlanta visited USC Saturday. Linebacker Dax Holyfield of Shelby, North Carolina, told us last week USC is no longer recruiting him. He took an official with the Gamecocks in October, and for all intents and purposes, it looked like South Carolina was in great shape with him. North Carolina, Virginia Tech, but they have stopped recruiting him, he said. He really didn't elaborate on why. There was some talk of a shoulder injury. He did say it was not because of his shoulder why they stopped recruiting him. He went to Stanford Saturday for an unofficial. Spring Valley linebacker Channing Tindall will take an unofficial visit to Auburn Saturday for the Iron Bowl. As he now has his season complete, he'll start focusing more on his recruiting. USC offered 2020 offensive lineman Omari Thomas of Memphis. Clemson offered 2020 defensive back Tyler Venables, son of the defensive coordinator Brent Venables. Basketball 6'3" point guard Trey McGowans of Hargrave Prep in Virginia out of Wren High School will take an unofficial to Wake Forest Friday, an unofficial to USC Saturday. He was offered by Seton Hall yesterday and by Tennessee today. There you go with recruiting here on Sports Talk. Check it out on the website, SportsTalkSC.com, and on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting. Let's welcome in to Sports Talk Best in Business, covering high school football, David Shelton of the High School Sports Report and the Charleston Post and Courier. Okay, we put the Skeeza guys away for another year, and we are down to our final 20 in the high school league. We're set up for the statewide semifinals. What do you think about what's ahead this week?
I think there's going to be some outstanding football games, some great matchups, a couple of rematches of games played during the regular season. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really big Friday night with some unbelievable competition between these teams.
Well, I tell you what, as far as the high school football goes in the Midlands, a few years ago they had a big showdown between Spring Valley and Richland Northeast. Yeah. And to go to the state championship, Richland Northeast won that one. Now you've got Dutch Fork and Fort Dorchester. For Midlands football, I mean, this is huge. And I know for Charleston football, it's huge as well to have Fort D coming up to Columbia to try to see if he can get to the state finals.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a rematch of last year's lower state finals where Dutch Fork won very easily, and then they played this year in the regular season. Fort Dorchester went to Dutch Fork and won fairly easily. So I think it's kind of a rubber match. Two great teams, two great programs. The Charleston area has two other teams playing. Baptist Hill will play C.E. Murray in the lower state Class A, and Berkeley will go to Hartsville in the 4A lower state. And I think that Berkeley-Hartsville game is going to be a barn burner.
So, all right, let me see if I got this right. Fort Dorchester beat Dutch Fork in the regular season, finished undefeated. Yeah, they've got to go to Dutch Fork. Was that just the luck of the draw in the predetermined hosting that the brackets have?
Yeah, that's the coin flip that determines the brackets before the season. So, I mean, it's something that's been out there and known. A lot of people didn't really realize it or recognize it until the playoffs started. But it's been known for all season that the winner of that region in that top bracket is going to host as long as they won, as long as they were a number one seed. Now, had Dutch Fork got upset and it was not a number one seed, Fort would have been always the higher seed host. But they're both number one seeds because they're both region champions, so it goes to that predetermined bracket, which doesn't make it fair. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with it, but it is. A lot of people have made a big deal out of it over the weekend, but heck, we knew about this months ago.
Sure.
How do you feel about that Dorman-Gaffney semifinal?
I think like all these other ones, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think Dorman, those two teams are actually playing the best football in the upper state, so it should be no surprise that they're there. Gaffney's defense is playing very well. Dorman's defense is playing very well. Gaffney sort of does their offensive thing through the air. Dorman is a power run. Kind of sounds strange to say that Dorman's a running team, but they got a big old offensive line and big old backs, and that's what they do. And they got a good quarterback too. So I think, Dorman won the game during the regular season, but this is a rematch, and I think it's going to be a great game.
South Point, Greer, that other side of the 4A bracket, nobody has touched South Point in a long, long time. What do you think?
I think Greer will touch them. I don't know that Greer will beat them, but I think Greer does enough offensively to enough balance. They can throw it and run it. They're very good on special teams. They've got the pieces to contend with South Point. You remember last year, South Point got pushed to the very end in like double overtime against South Haven. So it's not unusual for teams to give South Point a problem. And I think Greer has the makings to give them a problem. I still would pick South Point. But, there's a reason why there hasn't been a four-time state champion in forever. Because it's very hard to get there 4 years in a row and win it. So this is going to be a true test for them.
I guess Dillon, with Avery McCall won it 4 years in a row. But you're right, it's a tough thing to do.
Didn't they win it 3 years?
Was
they
it
win
3 or
4?
I
think they
won
lost
4.
their fourth one last year. You may have. I can't recall. You may be right.
Go back and check. I thought he was a quarterback that won 4 state championships. David, thank you very much. Have a great week. And we'll talk to you on Friday nights. We'll be back. Thanks again to David Shelton for joining us here on Sports Talk. Of course, our high school report brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money. Even if you received a quote before, rates are now more competitive than ever, so get a no-obligation quote today at favrates.com. Hey, we got basketball for you. Will and I were on the road back and forth covering USC and Clemson in their tournaments. This past weekend, I was with the Gamecocks at Coastal. They went 2-1 in the Puerto Rico tip-off at Myrtle Beach. After yesterday's win over Western Michigan, I asked Coach Frank Martin what he takes from the weekend competition.
2 out of 3 down here. What do you take away from this event moving forward into your little break and then coming back?
Our guys got challenged and disappointed with our performance. Not losing. Losing is part of the deal. Disappointed with our performance on Thursday. The complete opposite. Extremely excited how we rebounded with no practice to play against UTEP on the next day. And then to play a team we just beat 4 or 5 days ago, and who's a good team, and be able to sustain their energy early and figure out a way to get a win. It's a heck of a weekend for us.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, the way your guys kind of clawed their way back into this defensively and then use the defense really to pull away and kind of get your offense going.
Yeah, no doubt. That's Phil, we're still trying to figure that out as a team. But that's if this team ever figures it out, as our fans have watched over the last 4 years, our identity is a defensive end. We're a lot better than I thought we'd be defensively this early in the season, but we still make too many mistakes. But we got to clean that up. But that's why I said this week has been a real good week for us.
What do you focus on when you get to practice? You talked about lifting on Monday, hard practice on Tuesday. So what will be your focus on that Tuesday and then coming back on Friday?
That Tuesday's pretty much just for us. Just a good competitive practice to clean up some of the things that I haven't had a chance to watch ourselves on film yet because it's been game. So everything is as soon as the game's over, go watch the next opponent. So I'm going to take advantage of the next today, tonight, all day tomorrow to watch us on film. And so Tuesday's more to clean our stuff up, maybe see some stuff we're not doing as well as we need to, coach a little better so guys understand better, and then give them those 2 days off for Thanksgiving. They deserve it. They worked their tails off, and then regroup Friday, and away we go.
What's been the most surprising part of this 5-game start to the season? 4-1, all but one game away from home. What has surprised you the most? What's disappointed you the most as well?
Well, when you have so many first-year guys, you worry whether or not your team's going to have a personality early in the season. They're all trying to figure everything out. But they get along, and their resolve to go to Wofford, first game out, and play as well as we did in a crazy environment, to come home and play a real good Western Michigan game and pretty much dominate the game. And then lastly, to come back into this tournament and handle adversity the way we did. Our guys have some resolve. They have some unity. They have some fight in them. And I've been hard on them this week. I've been real hard on them this week. I'm doing it on purpose because I need to find out whether they have resolve or not, and they've shown me they have.
Anything really stick out to you from a disappointing standpoint that maybe you thought you'd be better at that you haven't gotten to yet?
Yeah, it's the only thing that I'm not as happy as I need to be with right now is the 3 guys that have the most game experience in our uniform. They have not been as assertive with their voices as they need to be, with their minds as they need to be. And I got to help. They all 3, Mike, Chris, and Sonny. It's not that they're not playing well. They're just not as assertive as they need to be, and we need that to get better.
You have any update on Felder? Any news with him as far as potentially getting back to you in the next semester?
Not yet. I did talk to him yesterday. I'd speak to him. We're getting a little closer. When the time comes that I get a break, maybe over Christmas or something, to kind of think, we'll figure out what's best for him. At the same time, with what's right for our university and our program. So all the decision makers, I have to sit down with them and make sure that we're all on the same page.
And Frank also said after that Felder is living in Virginia, going back and forth from Virginia to New York City, where he has also lived, but he has family in Virginia where he's also spending his time now while he's away from USC.
A 2-1 record as well for Clemson at the Charleston Classic. They got to the championship game, lost to Temple, so they take runners up. 67-60 last night was the final late Sunday evening in the Low Country. This was a very good teaching tool for Brad Brownell and his squad.
Definitely things that we'll learn from this film, without question. I just, part of it is offensive toughness. There's a toughness that people talk about with rebounding and, blocking out and guarding hard and being physical that way. But you also have to do offensive tough things. You've got to screen to get guys open. You have to be able to step off and make catches in an area where you can play and not get pushed out farther to where the extra dribble allows the defense to get there when you do penetrate. You have to create your space and you have to finish through contact. This was a game that was physical. Both teams, it took us both teams forever to get into the bonus. We're fouling at the end to get them into the bonus when in the last 2 minutes of the game. So, they would let the players play. And in those kinds of situations, you got to be physical and you got to make tough plays. And we just weren't able to do that tonight.
Win the whole thing, but the overall 3 games down here in Charleston, do you like where you're at the end?
Well, we're disappointed. We didn't play very well in the last game. There's no question that we just didn't play our best basketball tonight. I thought Temple played very well, and defensively especially. I thought we got a little out of rhythm, and certainly had a couple guys that just felt like they were a little sped up, and we couldn't get relaxed enough to make shots to beat a good team.
Your friend was saying Thanksgiving's a little sweeter when you have the win. For you guys, is Thanksgiving kind of a good break just to kind of go away for a couple of days, and then you got to turn around on Friday and play Texas Southern?
Well, yeah, we'll bounce back quickly. We obviously have a game on Friday afternoon in Little John. It'll be good to get back there. We'll spend Thanksgiving together at my house, and certainly we have a lot of things to be thankful for, and we'll talk about all those things with our team. And this was a great tournament for us. We played well 2 out of the 3 games, and I think we got a lot to learn from it, and certainly enjoyed our time in Charleston, as we always do.
What do you think you learned the most?
We just got some things offensively we've got to be tougher with, and we've got to be a better offensive team in terms of execution and probably doing a few of the little things. I thought defensively we really grew up and played well enough probably to win a game, and certainly played pretty well in 2 of the 3 games defensively. But just offensively, there were some things in this game against a high-level defensive opponent that we need to do better if we're going to execute and win.
Were you impressed about the way you were able to make a run, though?
Yeah, certainly. I thought we, came back at them, and I just, for whatever reason, I thought we needed one more big play, in terms of a made shot. And tonight was a night where we just had trouble getting those.
Probably the best defensive team that they saw all season, and probably about as closest as they are possibly in like the Ken Palm ratings and some of the fancy stat ratings as well when it comes to the competition they played. So a good measuring stick for them, and they'll learn from it.
All right, so 2-1 over the weekend for both. The Gamecocks off to a 4-1 start. The Tigers are also 4-1. Okay, USC doesn't play again until they go to FIU on the 27th.
Clemson will play Friday against Texas Southern in Little John, 3 p.m. tip-off there. 3 p.m. tip-off day. I was trying to say start and tip-off at the same time.
Also,
easy for you to say.
Also,
yes,
we have one score. Furman is visiting number 1 Duke tonight. Duke leading 43-26 with about 3 minutes to go in the first half in Cameron Indoor.
Charleston Southern beat Toccoa Falls today, 107-36. Congratulations to Wofford. Gets a bye in the FCS playoffs and will play the winner of Furman and Elon. Furman and Elon playing up in Burlington, North Carolina Saturday, and that winner gets to go to Wofford.
It'd be a nice rematch.
The following. So, that would be big. That would be big in our state. So congratulations to those folks. And let me thank Kevin Cohen and the people from The Point Radio for being with us and being a part of our family. And thanks to the folks here at the Casual Pint. We had a great time. Come out and visit the folks here at the Casual Pint. Talking Tuesday of Rivalry Week tomorrow. Don't miss it. We'll see you then.